You know, we all get complacent sometimes. Oh look, there's the voices are now recording. Okay, so it's pretty much open, this one, and oh well, here we go. So oh yes, as I was saying, I work with Egyptian deities. Salket is my primary goddess. I work with three others as well. Well, quite a few others actually, but mostly Egyptian. As you can tell by the AV headdress and the Egyptian kilt, I could stand up and give you a twirl, but I think people have got their voices locked onto my location, so I don't want to send people flying off with being deafened or something if I was to do a twirl for everybody. I also work with chaos magic principles, but I don't work with Baphomet, mainly because I'm quite happy with my Egyptian stuff. But I do work with sort of cyberpaganism using technology within magic. So that's a little bit about me. As I say, there's a few faces here that I recognise, quite a few I don't. So welcome to this one. Whether we'll continue this particular thing or get back to the scheduled stuff on visualization and astral magic, I've forgotten where we were on those, so I might have to start again. We'll see after this week. So, right, let's see, where shall we kick off? I can't remember where we were last time. 2 weeks is a long time. So, shall we just do a quick straw poll? Okay. Do we have any Wiccans in the area? Or if you just throw out what your sort of pass are. If you feel you want to talk, then fine. I'm always respectful of those that just want to listen. Newbie. Oh, okay. Oh, now that's good. You see, I do a lot of I wouldn't say beginners class. Well, yeah, in a way I do. Oh, crikey, we've got lots of newbies. Okay, right, okay. Okay, we'll go along this line. Because, you know, when I can start talking about quantum mechanics and so on, it can sort of go a little bit geeky. Which is not a bad thing. I do like to use my geekiness in my magic. So, yeah. But then you're all fairly probably got some element of geekiness because you're all on Second Life, so you're not afraid of the tech. So, okay. Yeah, I do in real life, I do a lot of talks at festivals and events, real life ones, as well as on here. And I recently started to feel guilty about the number of beginners who come up to me and say, well, I want to get started on this, and I've read that, and what can I do? Where do I go? And what is there? All right, no one else will probably be speaking, so don't worry about that. The Second Life voice is okay, except when lots of people start talking, and then it just goes completely broken. So as long as you can hear me, that's the main thing. Excellent. Right, okay. So yeah, as I say, so I do a lot of events. I actually run a couple of local workshops on beginning as a craft. And it's a very common thing to feel overwhelmed and to wonder, I've got all of this information, what do I do? When I first started, and I suspect there's a few here who are probably of my age, you know, in the mid-40s or whatever, or even older. Oh, you youngsters. Oh, yes, a long time ago. Well, when I say like early 90s, especially here in the UK, it was still sort of under the radar, the craft. There weren't many groups, and there wasn't much information. The internet was still very basic. mostly constrained to the universities. So trying to find other groups and people to talk to is a challenge. Was a challenge. Now with like lots of different forums, Facebook, all the social networking events, and of course Second Life here, information is a lot easier to find. Unfortunately, that does mean there is a lot of information to find, and it's not hard to find it, it's just hard to digest it. So what seems to be the theme nowadays? Oh, okay, I'll keep going. I'm sure Demora will hit that enter button in a mo. No? Don't be scared. Alright, okay. Got me all excited then. Alright, okay. Hopefully see you in a minute. So, yes, as I was saying, yeah. A lot of information out there, and it's quite a challenge for people to cope with it. The number of books is just phenomenal. The number of events that are occurring. There's down here in Kent, in southeast England, I'm aware of at least 8 or 9 moots that go on. Social moot, yeah. I know obviously the US is going to be a bit more widespread, a bit more spread out, and maybe a bit more isolated, but to some extent that's what it was like in the UK in the early 90s, is that there are so, yeah, it's, how do you finding problem of finding the right books, or just too many books to pick up? There are certainly a number of authors. Yeah, I know. There's certainly a lot of authors out there. Well, this is it. There's a number of authors out there that have particular popularities. Obviously, you go to Amazon and you like search for Wicca or Druidry or whatever it is you fancy, and then that's also a problem. Is what do you look for? What are these keywords to look for? If you just type pagan, you're gonna get loads of things. Excellent. Yes. There are a number. Okay, now what I have found is that there's a difference in particular authors between, say, the UK and the USA, and I'll split those two as the two that I know. If you're not from mainland Europe, or if you're from Europe, or from the US, or you're not from either of those, we'll worry about that after. Okay, I think yay, welcome back. So, yes. So there does seem to be a particular difference in the popularity of certain authors between the US and that's all right, and Europe. For example, in Europe, mostly we tend to go with some of the older, more established old names of the craft, such as obviously Gerald Gardner, Dorian Valiente, Patricia, what's her face, Aleister Crowley, some of the old guard. And in the US, it tends to be more popular reimaginings of, say, Wicca, for example, like Raymond Buckland and what's that other guy? I can't remember what it is now. Is it Scott Cunningham? Scott Cunningham and Buckland seem to be the two more familiar ones that I'm aware of being quite active. Now, had we had Jen with us, she'll rattle off a load more as well, but you might have to go and try her class tomorrow and ask her about the books. She seems to read Darkseid far more than me. Mostly my books are all mostly Egyptian magic as opposed to Wicca. Yeah, that's nothing like good stuff. Now, and this is also another issue that we have, is what branch of paganism are you after? As I was saying, I do lots of real life talks, and particularly after the Real Life Witchfest last year, I had someone ask me in particular about where to go with her. She's read a lot, and she's read different books and so on, and she was just confused. Now, normally, I just give someone my book list and say, there you go off and read. But I was starting to feel a little bit guilty over that, because I do remember that it is hard work. There's a lot of information to read, and you can always be reading, but the craft is a doing thing. It's not about just reading, it's about practicing your craft. But how do you know what craft you have? What area do you want? When you see the extent of them, as I say, Wicca is a huge area, Druidism, another huge area, heathenism, the Reconstructionists, as in the Egyptian Reconstructionists, the Greek Reconstructionists. Then you have a variety of different paths that can be under the umbrella of shamanism. Or then you go into ceremonial magic of Golden Dawn, OTO, Thelema, Enochian. There's just so much information to take on. And just giving someone a book and just letting them go off, it's a little bit of a joke, really. So I now have a mentoring coven. That's good. That is perfect. Okay, I'm going to split that into two. Looking for more Wicca, there's shitloads. As I say, if you're in the US, then it's probably Scott Cunningham and Raymond Buckland to go for. Probably more Raymond Buckland. But if you want, depends on also if you want to go, if you want to be at solitary. I wouldn't say, now this is a tricky one, because although I am not Wiccan, I know a lot of Wiccans, and they are of the opinion, especially here in the UK, that you are not Wiccan unless you are initiated into Wicca. If you are practicing solitary, then you are an eclectic witch, not Wicca. You may have Wiccan education to some extent, but you can't say I am Wiccan if you're a solitary. Now, I don't give a stuff what you call yourself. People have a go at me when I say I'm an Kemetic chaos magician. That's two spiritual or magical practices that are completely opposite to one another. But who cares what the title is? But if you're after a Wicca, as in witchcraft, but of a more traditional sort, then I would also suggest looking at some of the foundations of Wicca. Good old Gerald Gardner. There's quite a few things on YouTube you can watch too. And there's a new book out. I'm going to plug it now. It's not mine, but it's the biography, one of the biographies of Doreen Valiente. She was an initiate of Gerald Gardner, and she inherited all his artifacts and so on. And a lot of the things that we, I say we, not me, because I'm not Wiccan, but a lot of Wiccans, their ritual practice, a lot of the familiar Wiccan sort of poetry is down to Doreen Valiente. She created what is like not quite the Wiccan reed, but the Witch's Rune. That's poem that is hers, and there's a lot of stuff she's done, and she's very good. What's his name? Heselton. I can't remember what his name is now. But Dorian Valiente, the Dorian Valiente Foundation. Unfortunately, I think most of you in the US, I think it's maybe HypnoFan that's in the UK. Don't know if anybody else is. But if you're not aware that, oh, well, those of you that are in the UK and that can get to the UK, the Dorian Valiente Foundation, and you've actually had your head in the sand for a while and don't know this, but the Dorian Valiente Foundation has opened their museum in Brighton. It opened this weekend, just gone, and it has a lot of Dorian Valiente and Gerald Gardner's artifacts on display at the museum. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Looks like they're going to get stuck. That's a shame. Let me just make sure she knows. Okay, so hopefully if this is recording, and I'll put this up on the website later. Let me just... Okay, let's just start. Right, okay, so hopefully that's wholly sorted. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yes. So go along. It's well worth going to. I couldn't make it this weekend, but I've seen all the photos. I know the team behind it. They've done a great job. Go along and just enjoy it. It's there all the way through to the autumn, and I think it then moves to another location in time for Real Life Witchfest in November. So hopefully I'll be down there shortly. I've got to try and find a weekend over the next couple of months to get down there. So much things going on. Anyway, so as I was saying, if you're after Wicca, then you've certainly got quite a wide variety of materials you can go to. And of course, don't limit it just to books. Obviously, take some part of the practice and just do it. Podcasts. There are quite a few good podcasts around. I don't know those that particularly offer Wicca. There's a Druid one which is done by Dan the Bard, who does a great one called Druidcast, and it's a really good one. And I'm not aware of any Wiccan ones, but there probably are. They shouldn't be hard to find, to be honest. I'll definitely try YouTube because there's always stuff on there. And find groups. Obviously, we got our group here on Second Life, and that's, yeah, too much on YouTube. I was looking at making furnaces out of tin cans a week or so ago. Waste so much time on YouTube. So it's events like this where we can talk and we can share. Well, yeah, sometimes books are better, sometimes they're not. But as I'm saying, it's all about getting out there and doing it. Now, some of the other aspects of it, and this has popped up a few times in my classes, have been too many things. For example, altars. This is a bit of a, not quite a bugbear of mine, but it's something that I'm not entirely convinced about. A number of groups I belong to, especially on Facebook, they like to put photos of their altars up, and Again, I don't really have a problem with that, but the content of the photos, they're very pretty, and if that's what they want, then I'm not going to say they're wrong. But when I've had some of my classes and people have said, well, I don't know about how to put an altar together, well, just do what you want. There's no set thing. Now, within ceremonial magical practice, then there is a sort of requirements, mainly because of whatever operation you're working on. But if you're starting out, as long as you've made a connection with it and you can decorate it in the time of the seasons, you can just stick a few things down and not worry about it. Something else that we were also talking about was, what if you are sharing your space with other people that aren't either pagan or sympathetic to paganism, which is a problem for some. Now, my view there is that, you don't have to have a huge table with all sorts of piled up heaps of crystals and symbols and all that stuff all over it. You could just get away with a statue of, say, a deity. Now, if it's just a statue, then, someone who sees that with no other bits around it, if you were to stick a huge pentagram next to it, then that's going to show, okay, there's something else more than it just being a decorative statue. But, a decorative statue to someone is just going to show that you've got an interest in, say, some history or something. Not necessarily, it's easy to push away, but, again, it can be something that you can keep. Now, for my statue, my altar space, although I have a whole room sort of dedicated, well, not dedicated, is a room of the house we tend not to use as much now, so I tend to keep a lot of my gear up there, mainly because it's my bookshelves, and I like to burn incense in that room, which otherwise it sets off the alarms all over the place and so on. What I have is a set of DVD cases. They're sort of vertical ones, and there's me. I love incense. Frankincense in particular is my thing, and dragon's blood, and let's think what else, and jasmine. So I have a sort of a DVD bookcase kind of thing, and it's sort of in one of the alcoves along the chimney breast. So it's not particularly beautiful, but it's niches. It's 4 niches, I think, where you can put the DVDs in. And I have my statues in there. And that's sort of in the corner, and that's fine. It's enough. It's in plain view, and I can work with that. Yes, I do. Incense is a good thing, and again, it's using what appeals to you. You can go with a lot of different kind of stuff. You can go completely overboard with some of this incense and things. So as far as the altar space goes, then go with what you feel like and just enjoy it. As far as I'm concerned, especially when you're starting off, you're going to make mistakes. I wouldn't say mistakes are a problem. Mistakes are a good thing. You learn from them. If something doesn't feel right, then you just stop and learn. Possibly one of the best things, and if you're not doing it now, is documentation. Wiccans call it a book of shadows, or a magical journal, a dream diary, whatever you want to call it. I would suggest starting one of those if you're not doing it, because it's valuable. I've got an appalling memory, so I keep mine constant. and I have done for right. Let's get on to let's get on to documentation then. It's one of the most useful things because you're not going to remember everything. You're certainly not going to over a long time, because as you said, there's a lot of things to pick up, a lot of information out there. Just write it down. Some of my early journals I sort of just copied straight from various books I've picked up, and I'm not sure what that flash of light was, whether that was lightning that's just gone off, but that was very bright. Okay, if I disappear, all right, I hear thunder now. Okay, so if I suddenly disappear, it's because a storm just broke. But anyway, I'll keep going for as long as I can. So documentation, yes, I use. Now, some people like to use really ornate books. Again, no problem with that. If that's what you like, then do it. I prefer to work with an A5 sized artist's sketchbook, and there's a number of reasons for that. The first is it's small enough to carry with me everywhere. I have always got it in my bag that I'm carry, or in a pocket. Or, wow, that's bright. So it's getting into the habit of writing, and this is where things become unstuck for a lot of people. Is that you may start a journal, and then you, whoa, that's suddenly spouting it down, hailstones. Okay, I'll keep going. So you just got to get into the habit of writing. This is a big discipline to get over. And yes, you can put in some ornate stuff and do it all very posh. Now, originally I was going to actually do my journal with really calligraphy and all of this, and then after a few pages I just got bored stiff of that and decided just to write it down as I normally would. So it's all about just writing your thoughts down, writing what information you can get, sticking it in there and being consistent and doing it every day. So as I say, I've kept one now since the early 90s, and I'm on book 10, and I'm filling it up because there's a lot of information you can pick up. There's stuff from various books that you're reading, and there's information from being out and about. It could be anything. So if that's the first thing I think you should need to do, go out and get a diary, get something, and it doesn't even have to be paper. It can be electronic. Got no problem with that. What I normally also do is, because it's a small A5 thing, it's about a couple of hundred pages normally. Because once I've finished it, I then actually scan all the pages into a PDF, and then I can keep them on my mobile phone or on the laptop, so I don't lose them. Because I know I've got this big stack of books, and I really don't want to lose those. PDFs are great because I try to do indexing to start with of the journals, and then I couldn't find things, so then I stick like post-it notes as page bookmarks. Now it's like some kind of yellow porcupine thing with loads of sticky bits all out poking out of it. But if I scan it to a PDF, then I can put in electronic bookmarks and annotations and so on that make searching. That's it. It is a lot easier to organise. And this is one of the biggest problems, is that, as I was saying, you forget things, and I was always writing stuff down, but then I forget about it and then wonder, had I researched that or not? Now, Well, yeah, there is this side. Um, Obviously, you've got to draw a line at recording information, and if it goes out of your memory, it goes out of your memory. When I wrote my first book, I went through all my journals, and I found things I'd completely forgotten about 10, 15 years ago, and I wondered, that's what I've been looking for ages, because I couldn't find it inside because I just didn't index or was able to search for things. It's it's a journey, but had I not wrote those down, then I would have completely forgot about it. And it wasn't until I then started looking through some of the references that I found other stuff that I was supposed to have been researching and completely forgot about. So, it's documentation is good, but it only takes you so far. You still have to get out there and do stuff. And as much as you can read and absorb and have in your head, it doesn't beat actually doing. And when I say doing, this is exploring the world around you. There is a lot of stuff on the internet, and I used to work in publishing in a way, and I love books, I love paper, and I love reading, but you still have to get out there and explore the world around you. Depending on, obviously, the kind of countryside you are in. Here in the UK, we have the whole year's worth of weather in one day. As I said, earlier today we're up 18 degrees and it was beautiful sunshine. Now it's hailstones, thunder and lightning, and I'm not even sure what the temperature is outside now. It's probably plummeting. So I'm sort of lucky to get to explore all. Whoa, that was a bright one. It just lit the whole room up. I get to explore a lot, and I live on the coast. So that's getting loud. I have just at the top of the hill from me a huge castle that I like to spend time at, as well as the that's Dover. Oh, see ya, bye bye. Oh, well, you're okay. I sometimes do this, but let's say, here we go. Seeing you like castles. I'll share you these then. There you go. That is what I have outside right now. Well, it would be if I could see it, because it actually is lit, but I think this weather's things, I'm lucky. I have great things to wander around. It is. It's a beautiful place. And then I have the beach. So it's a little bit more than Goth. Henry VIII and earlier. Actually, there's a Roman Pharos at the top, so it's been Roman. So, it's getting out to explore any space outside. Now, there is this situation that if you are, unfortunately, that's all right. If I'm lucky. I'm sort of not quite out in the wild, so it's still the mark of man in this country is every inch of something is being trodden on. But for those of you that are sort of in a build-up areas, cities and busy towns, then you can still get out and enjoy nature to some extent. You're probably going to have some green space, either public green space or even your own, even a window ledge. Yeah, even if you've got a window ledge with some pots on, you're going to notice the flowers coming into bloom, various things popping up, and the life and death cycle of the seasons for the plants. You're always going to find something. As much as we concrete over things and trying to use artificial lighting and so on, nature is still quite a powerful thing. And like now, with the thunder and lightning going off around me, you're going to witness the forces of nature, no matter how built up area you are. And it's a shame I'm not. Let me switch the lights off completely in here. Oh yeah, that's good. Because you see, I like. Well, that's it. Wow, that is, you can't. The lightning here is just amazing. So, there's all. You cannot escape witnessing nature to some extent. And this is it. It is engaging. Just taking your nose out of your daily grind and having a few minutes just to realise, oh look, there's some leaves there, they've fallen, or those buds are starting to open, and it's noticing these things, as well as, it's, as much as our daily routine gets in the way, there are things we can do. And don't worry too much that some of these things are tied to a particular path. For me, I don't work, obviously, I'm not really particularly keen on, say, the green too much, perhaps, because that's not a huge well, actually, no, it is. The Nile was a very fertile place, so, those are the things. But there's bits and pieces, you don't have to go full on from zero to ceremonial magician in 1 week. It's enjoy, absorb what you can. That's it, it all is, as we said at the very start, there's a lot of information out there that can just blow us away. And it's not a problem going from one path to another. It's each path has a particular grasp on a particular aspect of the human condition, and they'll explore it in their own way, which may be quite different to another path. And so it's good to sort of get these paths and just see how their perspective on those concepts differ, because you're going to learn something new. I've got a lot of friends in various spiritual paths, and I'm not just talking paganism, it's Christianity and Islam and so on. Is that there are a lot of similarities between all religious paths. Unfortunately, people use the differences as a weapon, which is a bad thing. But when you start to share thoughts and say, well, we experienced this and this and this, okay, you're going to have some differences of concepts, but you're still going to have something you can share, and you may grasp. It may not be something that whoa, that was very bright. I don't know if you heard that on my microphone, but that was a big crash. So, oh, it did it? So there's a lot to be said to opening your eyes and listening, and I would say not just within paganism in books. Refer to fiction. Fiction has a lot of value. Okay, there's a lot of fantasy fiction which definitely does pull in a lot from our craft, and mostly, tend to be mostly fair folk and those kind of things, although they sometimes do paint too shiny a picture on the fair folk, and they're generally actually in folk lore pretty nasty things. Elves in particular, and all of these things aren't the sweet little things that they do appear in films, to be honest, and fairies and so on. So read extensively, explore, and listen to what's inside. And if someone is saying, well, you're doing something wrong, then ignore them. Your path is yours. So long as you are pretty much happy in how you're going, yeah, they are tricky little things. You never got to trust them, even when they're smiling. So, yeah. There's some fantastic, as I said earlier, in the UK there's a few other good ones. Ronald Hutton's books. He's one of possibly the top authors in this country for the craft, but from a historian's point of view and an academic's view on the craft and folklore, which it fills most of our stuff, including the Fae. He's got some very good stuff. I've heard him talk on the Fair Folk. So have a look around. I'm not sure I don't think I actually have any of his. Again, as I say, it's not my particular thing. Let's see. Hang on a second. I'm pretty certain I don't. What I'll do as well is share my book list. I think this is actually quite an old one, but yeah, certainly. Mostly you'll find in there is Egyptian magic, but there are a number of other stuff. Trying for the Moon, yes. Yes, there's quite a few good ones of his. So, there's a lot to be said for doing stuff. Now, also don't get hung up with all the, let's see, I'm going to use an English word here that may not travel well in the US, gubbins. All the bits and pieces that you might see, for example, you've got to have a broom, you've got to have a wand, you've got to have an athame, you've got to have a cup, you've got to have a sword, and so on. No, not guppies, gubbins. Think that might be the way to spell it. Guppy's a fish, but gubbins, not sure if that's a northern term or not, but it's one I've that's alright. No, you're not. Some of these English things don't travel too well. So yes, all these various bits and pieces that all the books that say, you have to have the wand, the cloak, the robes, and the broom to dust sweep the area before you create a circle, and all this palaver and paraphernalia that just gets in the way. And thing is well, for me, when I first started, there wasn't any of this stuff around. You had to either make it or adapt, which is actually not a bad thing to try and learn to do. There was no nice handy shops near me in the back of nowhere to go off and buy the bits and pieces. But, as an analogy, if you were to want to, say, go freshwater fishing, you could buy the rods, you could buy the waders, you could buy the box and all the flies and all of that, but does that make you a fisherman? No. You've got to learn how to put the flies on the end of the rod. You've got to know where to fish and how to cast and so on. Same as with the craft. You're not a witch, or whatever it is you want to label yourself, if you have your cloak and your wand in your hand. that doesn't make you a witch. It gets you somewhere. It makes you look like you probably know what you're talking about, but unless you are doing and the experience comes, it doesn't suddenly turn you into one because you've got all the tools, unless you know how to use them. Oh, okay. Yeah, well that probably doesn't make you a fisherman though, does it? Even if you were caught on the end of one. Um, the basics. Okay. A note card of the basics. Well, okay, this is a basic one. You don't need any of this stuff. I don't think we need a note card for that, do we? You don't need any of that. All you need is your head, and if you really, really must, your finger to point if you need to point. But, it's all within you. Now, the tools are good. Tools serve a purpose in that they have symbolism. Symbolism is very important. Excellent. Good job for you. And it's always a good idea if you can make them. Buying them's good, but making them is better. And, even if you were to use a spoon, you could turn that into a wand. It's a pointy thing. It doesn't need to be complicated. Now, what was I saying? I've completely lost that now. Okay. So yeah, I was just saying, you don't need any of this. If you want to use it, you can. It's symbolism, wasn't it? So the symbolism, say, of a wand is that it's direction of energy or intent or however you want to class it. So, anything that can point, that be it your finger, a sausage, a banana, a stick, whatever. It could be anything you need it to. As long as the symbolism association is in your head correct to how it is actually being used, then fine. Now, symbolism for these components, these tools, become more important if you start doing group work, because that certain tools have certain symbolism attached to them, so that when you gesture with a particular item, then everybody is instantly going to know what all that symbolism means. Now, obviously, if you're starting out, you're not likely to get to too many group situations, unless you're lucky. Here in the UK, Wiccan covens tend to be closed, but there's a lot of druid groves that have open ceremonies, and I go to quite a few scattered around the country, and they are all open, so that anyone comes along. Yeah, druid groves. Yeah, well, a couple of them. We've got a couple local ones here, a couple over wonderful Avebury, Stonehenge, one I did as well a year or so ago. So some of these open groups will let you come in and you can explore group ritual work, and obviously some moots as well that I go to. They tend to do their own festival ceremonies and so on. So there are situations where you can, as a beginner, without any connection to a coven or working group, just come in and participate, at least as a social aspect. Yes, I did I got invited to Stonehenge's Midsummer Day, not the Midsummer's one that the tens of thousands of tossers and drunks appear at. This was a 30 or 40 of us, the Midsummer's Day. Amazingly knackering experience. Stupid times of the morning. It was a very long day, but it was beautiful anyway. It was wonderful, as is all sunrises. but there it was particularly wonderful. But yeah, as I was saying, you don't have to have all the nice posh stuff to do it, as long as you can get the gist of what's going on, as well as finding, and also don't get too hung up with all the ritual aspects. Some cast a circle, I don't. Some do this, some don't, and it's whatever you feel as far as a ritual goes that works. I don't like to have a 5-hour ritual because I just don't see the point. I have a life and I want to get things done. So most of my rituals are pretty quick, and that's not to say I'm just being so blasé about it. It's my craft is my craft, and it means a lot to me. It's just that a lot of the fluff I found just wasn't worth the amount of effort to put in. So there are some aspects that are deep, and I spend time on those, and there are stuff that I don't, which some pagans may find a bit odd. But as I said earlier, your path is your path, and as long as it's working for you, then do it. It's only when you go into probably more structured traditions, say Wicca, where you have an expected procedure, or for any other groups that you're working with where they have a particular procedure for doing stuff, then you work with that. But for the vast majority of us are solitary, then there's certainly no need to do a few hour ritual of, some of them could be so long. If you pick up any of the books, and now I've got one called The Witch's Bible by the Farah. I forget her name now. Yeah, that's the one, Janet Farah. Yeah, it's an interesting book. It's a lot of stuff. It's a huge amount of Wiccan material. But for me, as I'm not Wiccan, I only bought it because I'm just a nosy bugger and once I know these things, just so that I can talk to people about this and understand what they're on about. And again, this comes back to what I was saying earlier, is understanding different paths. Yes, there are some aspects of that I found interesting, and some that were just led me to total boredom. So, it's a highly personal thing. And again, I'm quite a fan of Aleister Crowley. I'm currently reading his biography called The Confessions, autobiography called The Confessions. So, there's a few things I don't agree with him of his, but there's a lot that I can respect him for, and some of the sort of things that, I can see why you did that. So it is a whole journey of exploration. There are unfortunately no quick solutions to understanding the craft. And when I say the craft, it can be any aspect of the craft, and it's not a lifestyle choice. It is definitely a serious commitment, and a long one. As I said, I've been at this, how long ago now? Well, I've been with my goddess. She came to my life when I was about 5 or 6. We're up to about 40 years now then. And there's still loads I don't know, still loads I want to know, and I have lots of questions all the time. Enjoy and explore and ask really dumb questions. It's the only way. And crikey, our time is almost up. So, and I've been sporking. I've been at it for nearly an hour now. Excellent. So, in case anyone has to run off now, I will start wrapping up. So, thanks for coming along. Hopefully some of that made some kind of sense. I will probably see if this is recorded, and if so, it will be up on the website probably in the next couple of hours. And so thanks for coming along. Obviously we got Jen's class tomorrow. Am I going to be there? I might be able to get there tomorrow. Then, I think there's a couple of others as well during the week, and then I'm back with the Healing Circle a week on Wednesday, and I might continue this particular series, or whatever it is I'm calling this, in 2 weeks' time. So, great, if anybody has any questions, anytime, throw me an IM. You've got the website for the recording. I am happy to talk on any of the means you can find me. Then I will be at gathering. Which gathering is that? Not the real life Artemis gathering, because yes, I will definitely be at that. I'm always at that. Oh right. I thought you were in the US. You're coming over for a camping trip. That's gonna be, and that is brave. That's a long way with a tent. Witchfest might be a better deal, because then you've got hotels. You don't have to try and get a tent from the US over. That would be quite a challenge. I know we get some from Scandinavia. All right. Okay. So yes. Any questions, anytime, throw me a line, and I'm happy to talk endlessly. So thanks for coming. Have a great week or few days or whatever it is, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again soon. Thank you. Let's see if this is recorded. Is this recorded? Oh, it looks like it might still be recording. Excellent. Okay, hanging up now.